Julian Assange has been given another reprieve now by the High Court here in London. He has been allowed one more appeal against his extradition, and that is a process now that has been on for 13 years now. And this was really the issue before the court, whether he should be allowed an appeal at all. Had the appeal not been granted, he would have as good as been on his way to a US prison, and that is what makes this decision today critical. It really is quite a lifeline for Assange. The court had sought 3 assurances from the US government at its last hearing in March of this year, that Assange would have recourse to the First Amendment of the US Constitution in his defense, and that of course is the amendment that guarantees free speech, that he would not be discriminated against on grounds that he's an Australian national, and that he would not face the death penalty. The 2 judges said that he would be allowed to appeal, and that was back in March, only if the US does not produce those guarantees. As it turns out, the US government did provide those guarantees, but the appeal still was allowed after it was argued for Assange that whatever guarantees the US government provides, a US court could still give a ruling independent of those government guarantees. Edward Fitzgerald, appearing for Assange, said, based on the principle of separation of powers, the US court can and will apply the US law, whatever the executive may say or do. The assurances, he said, were therefore blatantly inadequate. But James Lewis, representing the US government, argued before the court. He insisted that the judicial branch of the United States will take due notice of this solemn assurance given by its government in the course of international relations. But that assurance was not sufficient to convince the court to extradite and to order the extradition immediately. That will now be for another appeals court to consider, and that's going to be a decision now that's been kicked down the line until later this year, and that is when the next hearing is expected.
Yeah, I mean, I think of course they should just let him go and compensate him for all the things they did to him. But I mean, it could have been worse.
Tactic to delay the agony, death by 1,000 cuts.
I can't take care of it.
So I'm here to support him as a human being, as a father, as a husband, as a son. He's one of us. He, with his work, has offered tremendous service to the public, informing them about what governments are doing in our name. And as a simple solidarity with Julian Assange, I'm here today together with my colleagues at the Committee to Defend Julian Assange.
Thank you everyone for coming, and for the millions of people around the world who are supporting Julian and protesting. We hope that the courts do the right thing today and find in Julian's favor. But if they don't, we will take an emergency injunction. We will seek an emergency injunction from the European Court of Human Rights. Thank you.